probably a bit far off now, but we anchored right outside that white building down here, right on the beach actually, but it is quite deep and it's muddy bottom, so yeah, fairly good holding, I guess. Quiet night. Now the wind just started to move about, and that's our destination. There's a small island here in front of this mountain, and we are going to that island, and that is where I originally come from. So yeah. So I don't know if you make it out, but there's a white house in the middle of the picture here. That is where I lived. It's actually my grandmother's house that I restored. That was a lot of work. So yeah, it's going to be great to see it again. So we are just rounding this tip here now. So that's going to be good. So, why do I like sailboats so much? In my family, we never had a sailing yacht of any kind. I don't think ever. And I lived on this island here that we are on now. And I was, as a little kid, playing around and looking down towards this sound, and every now and again there would come a sailboat through and just gliding slowly and gracefully, or anchoring in here. So sailboats have always fascinated me, the way they move, the grace that they have, especially in the old days when I was younger. They were more like classic boats, and yeah, a sailboat is a beautiful sight to behold, and I was always intrigued by this. So yeah, I guess my fascination comes from early observations of sailboats. I used to since I was living here, all the boats that we owned was related to transportation of goods or fishing. So that's the kind of boats that I knew, and I also have a fascination for that kind of boats. But yeah, as a pleasure craft, there's no doubt it's a sailboat. So here my boat is tied up to the dock over here. So yeah, it's a beautiful morning. I figured I needed to just shoot this now. So yeah, that's part of my fascination. I'll step on board and I'll show you the second part that got me hooked onto sailboats. Why am I into sailboats? I told you I found them fascinating to look at, and how they moved and everything on the island. And when I was young and playing in my grandmother's attic, I came across this book written by Stephen Meader, and it's called Clear for Action. In Norwegian it's called Klartskip, and it was written in 1940, and it's about I guess when America was liberated from the English, I guess. So I don't think this book is going to fare well with a British audience, but the Americans, I think, will like this book. But this is an adventurous book, and there's captures and escapes and treasures and stranded on islands and all of that good stuff that you really think is cool when you're a young boy. And I was about 4 or 5 years old when I discovered this book, and I took it down and I asked my grandmother to read it to me. She told me that this book was for older boys and that I should go and do something else. But yeah, I managed to make her read it to me, and she did, and I loved it, and it was I loved it. So she read it many times over the years until I learned how to read and write myself, and I guess she must have read it like 20 times. And she hated to read this book. It was the worst thing that I could ask her to read for me. But she was a kind of lady and she did it anyway. And the reason why that is so hard, that this book is written for the American audience. And the main person here was from Maine. And he was all the places is referred to as setting sail from Maine and going off, and all the sounds and all the the points and all the places that they pass, and yeah, it's always in American, and that is really hard to fit into a Norwegian language. So reading it out loud, especially when you don't speak English at all, is really hard, and these names always pop up, and yeah, so it's really tricky to read actually, and that was a big problem for my grandmother. So I really loved her for doing that for me, going through that struggle. She was a nice old lady. But the main character in the book, the first ship that he puts to sea on, is called Abigail, and I swore that ship doesn't fare well, but that is where the story begins, and there is a passion about that ship, and so it means something, and I swore that when I get my own sailboat sometime in the future, I'm going to call it Abigail. So Abigail is the name of my boat, taken from this book. So that's one promise kept, both to you and myself. Now you know what I've named my boat. So a lot of rambling for very little, but yeah, I think stuff like this is important. It creates dreams and creativity and fantasies that can help shape your life in the future. So perhaps we should read these books. At least it meant quite a bit to me. So yeah. Here is the island back there. That's where I used to live. This morning I set off from the island and I sailed across all the way in here to Norheimsund, and met up with my wife, and we had some pizza there, and she went back home, and now I'm sailing to find an anchorage for the night. So yeah, this is an area where they take out stones. I've talked about this before, but this has become massive. Well, it's not pretty, but it generates income, I guess. So but it is what it is. We are heading out Hardangerfjorden, that is in this direction, and the sun is setting. There was absolutely no wind before. I don't know where this wind came from, but it's lots of it. I guess there is just since the air inside deeper into the country has heated up so much. It's been really hot today, and now the sun is setting, and the air that's been pushed out to sea is now coming back in. We call it solgangsbris. It means when the sun is setting you get a breeze that returns to the land, and I guess that is what we are feeling now, and it's quite strong. I needed to reef the sails, so I was overpowered. It's not much waves, but it's fun sailing. So yeah, we'll see. I'll give you an update tomorrow morning. I'll just keep on sailing until I run out of wind, and then I will motor to the closest anchorage, I guess. I guess this wind is going to drop off as quickly as it came. So I'm just enjoying it. Tomorrow is going to be absolutely no wind again, so yeah. We have to use the wind when we have some. If I don't record this, nobody's going to believe me, because this is quite impossible. This wind is not possible. I'm sailing out this cut, narrow cut, high mountain there, high mountain here. Wind is coming against me, but just enough off that I can sail straight down the cut. If you look at the top of the mast, you can see the remains of my Windex. I came around that corner and just made a slight bow here, and I'm sailing straight up this cut, or out this cut, with the wind against me. Engine not on, never on, and this shouldn't be possible. The wind should come much more straight in front of me, but it's coming from here. That's just enough for me to manage. I'm balancing, and it's a bit gusty and it's a bit unstable and it wears a bit, but I cannot explain this. It should not be possible. It's never happened to me before. This is the worst bit of the whole fjord, and now it's perfect. I cannot understand it. So it is 3:30 in the morning, and I've sailed through the night more or less, and we have had really good wind. Last half an hour it has dropped off, and now it's dead. There's no more wind, so I just furled the Genoa. I'm gonna start the engine and I'm gonna drop the main, and I guess then I will motor to the anchorage. I just brewed myself some coffee. I just had some food and I want some coffee, and I want to go to bed. So yeah, I was hoping to have wind for another hour, and we would have made it to the anchorage. So that's life. I will update you when I wake up. See you then.